Hey, what's up, beautiful people? I wanted to show you how amazing Vancouver looks right now. I've got my new little toy, this gimbal, so I wanted to show off how gorgeous. We had a huge snowfall yesterday, and of course, the next day is complete clear skies. And I just wanted to show how beautiful it is. We have a very spicy topic today. There's going to be a Q&A. There was some questions in my group. So I wanted to share with you guys some of the answers that I had, and do the very best I could to answer a live Q&A. Hey, May again. Yeah, it's quite nice. It's quite beautiful. Like quite mesmerized and taken aback by how nice the mountains look, especially after a snowfall yesterday. So quite nice. So I wanted to answer some questions because there were quite a few of them in my group, The Art of Powerful Alignment. And I just want to show off. We don't have a fireplace. So that's basically our fireplace right now, is the television, and there's our tree. So yeah, I wanted to shoot this video to answer some questions about the holidays here. I'm just getting used to my new little thing. I had a question that was brought up. I asked a question in my group yesterday, The Art of Powerful Alignment. Make sure you join in. Hey, Alok, what up, bro? And there were some really great questions. And this is probably one of the most stressful times in the holiday season coming up. And there is an onrush of clientele who are, it's getting real. It's the end of the year. It's the time of reflection. We look back and we go, okay, so where are we? Where would we like to be? And oftentimes we look at our relationships and how we're feeling and our health and our finances and our careers, and all of these questions come up. So I wanted to do a Q&A and have you guys participate. So let me know if there's any questions that you have. I asked the question in my group, what is your current struggle right now? What are you struggling with the most? And the answers, there was like a thread of questions, and the answers were so great that I thought, okay, I'm going to do a little bit of a Facebook Live to answer some of them. And the one that came up the most consistently was about family dynamics and drama. So I wanted to start with that. And to help, if you are going through that and you're seeing that there's a lot of family dynamics and drama happening within your family dynamics, several of the clients that we have in our program, they enrolled because of the fact that they had disconnected relations with their families. And the problem with that is that we can say, screw you, I'm going to avoid negative people, get out of my life, I don't want to talk to you again. But that has an impact on us. If you don't have a completion with your primitive family members, and you're too shy, or you have something in between you, which is very common because we don't really learn how to communicate and be real, and we fear judgment, and we fear, I know that all too well. We're not able to actually create harmony, create love within our family dynamics. And so what right do I have talking about this stuff? My name's Dr.Nima Rahmany. I've been a chiropractor for 15 years, if you haven't met me before. And I left chiropractic full-time because I was noticing everybody was coming in with the same problem, which was anxiety and stress-related disorders. So I came up with a methodology to help people with the root cause of it, which was their beliefs and mindset. And as I did that in my practice, it became more and more fulfilling for me to actually teach that part. So over a few-year process, I think it was about 10, I gradually weaned out of that. It was a kind of a slow and painful journey to get out of full-time practice and do this full-time. But I know what it's like to have that feeling of stress and anxiety and wanting to be somewhere other than where you're at currently. And every patient that was coming to me was dealing with a family dynamic issue. Every single one. They had a story about how there's drama within the family, I don't get support, and you see these stories happening over and over again. That was my story for the longest time. And I just, I'd be a lot further and a lot happier if my father just supported me. And I basically put all of my stock in other people's opinions and approval. And so it's a very common thing, and that's the underlying root cause of all family dynamic issues, is that you have a set of values, and chances are those closest to you have value systems that are very different, very opposing. And family dynamic drama happens when we start with the primitive, unrealistic expectation that we have on other people within the family to think according to our values and priorities, and to prioritize what we prioritize. That's where it all turns to crap, is when we turn around and we expect our family members to adopt our values. That's the number one cause. And how do you know? Well, when you have the belief they should be doing this, they should be doing that, my mother should understand this, my father should understand, my children should be. Anytime you're imposing a should, you're now creating the foundation for family dynamic drama to happen. And it's very common. That's the underlying root cause. It's the judgment of others based on their values. It's the projection of your values onto other people. How do you dissolve the family drama? Is by realizing you have a different set of values, and that your parents and your husband and your wife, and they have a different set of values, and rather than trying to tolerate their values, to appreciate, to turn the toleration into appreciation for the value systems that they have. So thank God that they're not like you, right? I'm just going to grab a glass of water. Thank God that they're not like you. It's exactly probably the worst thing if every single person in your family thought exactly the way you did. There's a dynamic, I discovered that there's an order, there's an implicate order to the fact that everyone in the family has a very different value system. And the reason why that is because they're all playing a part of your disowned psyche. They're all playing a part that you're not looking at, and what you don't see when you're not in what I call an overview perspective, what you don't see is you're playing a very critical part and they're playing a very critical part in your life. And by turning the toleration into appreciation and looking at their values and acknowledging their values, acknowledging yours first and foremost, you're now able to take stress and family drama into love. And so it's really important. That's what it comes down to. I had another question about taking action. Why is it that I'm so procrastinating with taking action? Well, New Year is coming up, so everybody's about to come up with all these New Year's resolutions, and they're like, okay, I'll start tomorrow. This is the classic one you're going to hear, is I'm going to start tomorrow. I just heard that on a webinar. Somebody just recently said that. And I had to chuckle because taking action is basically one of the most challenging things. And once we have it in our minds that we need to take action in our lives, if we literally, according to neuroscience research, we have 5 seconds to move our bodies in the direction of that vision, or our ego and fears will crush it. Period. Taking action, the greatest book that I read that helped encourage me and teach me how to take action was the book by Mel Robbins called The 5-Second Rule. And I've been using it, and I hadn't read it in a couple months, and I just picked it up again recently, just a couple days ago, and it's just an amazing reminder. I do audiobooks when I walk the dogs and stuff. So it's just an amazing reminder. If you don't take action within 5 seconds with your body, moving in the direction of your vision, you'll crush your dream. And this is what I did yesterday as far as taking action. A great example was I'd been traveling a lot, so I had that as an excuse to not really get consistent with an exercise regime. And I was quite frankly getting bored of CrossFit and lifting weights, and I wanted something very, very, very different. So yesterday I was sitting there and I was just kind of like in that low state, and I was judging the crap out of myself. And then I just looked at myself, and just at that feeling of dread and disgust, I was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I picked up the phone and I enrolled in a boxing gym. So I'm now taking boxing classes and lessons. But I actually enrolled, I paid with my credit card, I couldn't back down, I stepped into the vision, and it was a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And there's a science behind the countdown. So when you count down, you're kind of bypassing the amygdala, which is all about protection and fight or flight. And so it was a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, and I made that call, and this morning at 7 a.m. was my first boxing training. It was intense. It was fun, but I just felt like, okay, I'm moving my body and taking action. So to answer your question for what about taking action, it's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And if you don't go in that moment, waiting, here's what Mel Robbins says, is brilliant. She goes, waiting until you're ready is exactly like expecting it to not happen. Let that sit for a moment. That one blew my mind, and it's so true. Next question that I had was on anger. We're talking about anger. So many of you who are listening, let me know if you can relate. Let me know in the comment section. Engage with me if you can relate. We're talking about anger right now. That was one of the questions that came up over and over again. Anger can only happen when we have an unexpected, when we have an unrealistic expectation. Hey, Sergio, an unrealistic expectation that other people are going to live according to our rules and boundaries, number one. And number two, that other people shouldn't have a dark side. They should only be the light side. Unlike you, who has both sides, you're both a sweetheart and a bitch, a great guy and an asshole. Just like me, we all have both sides. But when you have the unrealistic expectation that you place on another person, that they're supposed to only be one-sided, they're not allowed to have a dark side, and that they're supposed to live by your rules instead of abiding by theirs, well, welcome to anger. And anger and resentment are like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. Exactly. Thank you, Jeff. Resentment is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. So when you get this, when you don't have this right, the anger boils inside. It starts to affect your organ systems, your digestion, your sleep, your hormone levels, and it's all because of a perception and an expectation. We get sick, our immune system gets shot, and then we go to the doctor for pills, but we don't even address the anger, which is an unrealistic expectation you have on another person. Without unpacking it, you don't have a chance of actually getting healthy from the inside out. A lot of times cancers, and these are the unrealistic expectation we have on ourselves and other people. So when you get this right and you learn the tools, what happens is that anger turns to appreciation. The disempowerment turns to power and freedom. Low self-esteem and low self-worth turns into connection to self and other people when you get this right. And the way that you dissolve resentment, I created a methodology called the overview method, which helps people clear the resentment through a series of questions that are predictable, that clears resentment towards self and resentment towards other. I had another question about guilt, which essentially is the same thing, is about resentment and anger directed inwards. Guilt is anger directed inwards. In other words, the perception that you have done something to yourself or somebody else that has caused more pain than pleasure, more loss than gain, that's what guilt is. And guilt is a deadly one. Guilt eats away at your insides. Guilt is one of the greater causes. Guilt and resentment are one of the greatest causes of the depressions that we see that are happening in this holiday season right now. A passed on loved one, a loved one who's passed on, and you're still holding on to it. If you don't get that right, what ends up happening is it eats away at you, and then it spills over into all the other relationships that you're having. And you keep acting out that dynamic, but it's because it's incomplete from your past. I really want you to get that the past unresolved stuff You keep playing it out over and over and over again. We keep playing out these past unresolved stuff. And so it's up to us. It is up to us to do the necessary work it takes to transform it. And so that's exactly another question where I have obstacles and frustrations moving forward. That's obstacles and frustrations moving forward is unresolved resentment and guilt. Unresolved resentment and guilt. If you have unresolved resentment and guilt, these are the obstacles. Then they turn into fears. Then you cannot move forward. So without really learning, it's not your fault. It's just you haven't yet learned the tools in how to dissolve them and how to actually bring to completion all of those feelings so that you have your power again and you can move forward, you can feel that fulfillment, you can have healthy relationships. It comes on the other side of doing this work, and I'm going to share with you exactly what you can do what I'm sharing with you is really relating. I'm going to tell you in a moment exactly what you can do for that. The last question that I wanted to answer, two questions. Number one is, the one I wanted to talk about here is getting over someone when there is no closure. Oh, this is a beautiful one. It's so common. The reason why, and I'm going to credit my man Stephen Gardner for really this piece, is if you feel out of fair exchange with a past lover, with a past relationship, if you feel out of fair exchange with them, here, hold on one second here. I'm just figuring out this little toy device here. Cool. If you feel out of fair exchange with that person, what happens is you don't have closure. You don't have closure with someone whenever you feel that you've either given something and you haven't received in fair exchange, or you feel guilty because you've taken so much and you haven't given in fair exchange. When you don't have that equation balanced, it really shows up in ugly ass ways. I gotta tell you. One of the things that I like to do when I feel like I'm out of fair exchange with somebody is I actually have it in my mind and I start looking for things in them that they owe me. And I start highlighting and over-exaggerating the crap that I've done for them. When I feel guilty about not having a fair exchange, I start seeking and looking at and pointing out the things and exaggerating the things that I've done. And the reason why I do that is because of the paralyzing guilt of not having fair exchange in the equation. So if you don't have closure over somebody, getting over them, if you don't have closure, i.e. see fair exchange of what you've given and what you've received, if you don't have that yet, then you can't have closure. So closure happens first when you in your heart see what you contributed and what was contributed to you. So the two sides must be seen. And then closure happens when you go back to that person and share where you had an inauthentic story. It always gets closure with the sharing. It's critical. And I used to think that all you got to do is just do the emotional work. Hey, what's up, Trish? What's up, Rochelle? I used to think, hey, all you got to do is the emotional work. That's cool. And I don't got to tell them about anything. I don't got to talk. But that's not true. What I realized and what I've learned is that your power comes back and your access to power comes back when you go to that person that you've had an inauthentic story about and you share with them truthfully, vulnerably, and then really sit in their world and see what it was like for them and listen. That was a new thing for me. I wasn't very good at that. I'm getting better and I'm a work in progress just like you. But that was powerful when I got that. It was very powerful. I'm glad I got you on your lunch, Rochelle. It was very powerful. And so when I started doing the work, man, it was incredible. I started getting my mojo back. I started clear all this stuff that I said. I started clearing all of my resentment. I went down and I got complete with everybody in my life. I restored integrity with them. I was able to share vulnerably. I could be real. I didn't have to be fake or pretend anymore. I can just share my heart, even though it wasn't always positive. I am a work in progress. I still get triggered. I get very angry. I did last night with one of my clients, and I wasn't a stand for him. I was being resentful because of late night texting and all that, rather than really being a clearing for him and standing for him. I made it about what I'm not getting and lack of fair exchange, rather than seeing the fair exchange that was there. And so why I share that is because I'm constantly a work in progress. And we are always falling in and out of integrity. We're always expanding. If you're up to a big game, then you're expanding yourself. You're going to fall out of your word. You're going to say stuff that you're going to get triggered. And this job that I've taken on, leaving chiropractic and coaching full-time, is the greatest accountability. It forces me to look at myself every day and bring myself into account and go, did I really handle that really well? Was that the greatest version of me? And I can look at that and look at myself, like, for example, last night and this morning, in my meditations, in my writing, I wasn't really at my best. And so there's an opportunity when you do this work, that once you clear it, you can then restore integrity and heal a relationship that's been broken down and allow the other person to feel heard, so that your holiday family time doesn't have to be mired in all of this fakeness and inauthenticity, which is very common, and which is the cause of the drama in the first place, which is exactly what I'm just figuring out this thing, which is this new little device that I got, which is exactly the cause of our family dramas, which is exactly where we have the anger and the resentment and the rage and all of that stuff. If we don't deal with it, it actually impacts our health. It impacts our food choices, and our quality of life, really. We're here to actually have fulfillment. We're here to make a difference. We're here to make a contribution. We're here to create possibilities for our lives, but then it gets really cool when you can step out of your shit and then really do that, start doing that for others. By me taking on this work, it has resulted in 2018 being one of my best years ever. 2017, excuse me. 2018 will be even better as I continue with this journey and teaching it. And so what I'm offering those of you who are in Australia, we're going to be in the Gold Coast on February 10th, and I'm going to be teaching the tools at the overview experience, how to dissolve the resentment, how to get real with people, how to heal relationships that are not connected, so that you can have a better experience on planet Earth. And we're doing it in Vancouver, January 27th and 28th. Last weekend of January, second weekend of February in Australia. And this is an opportunity for people who are actually stuck and they're knowing that they've been at cause, that the anger, the frustration, the fact that they're living in a state of fear and inaction is what's held them back, and they really want to make 2018 their best year ever. Hey, Kim, what's up, girl? Hey, Tushar, I'm glad you're tuning in. But really, my goal here is to teach this stuff not only for my benefit, because I love the attention, which is true. I love the impact that I get to make, and I get to feel important. But really, the coolest thing is when I get a text message and they say, my clients say, "Wow, my kids are doing better, and everything around the home is a lot more, is a lot calmer and a lot more at peace because of the fact that I've taken on this work." And that's really cool, because it's deeper than just anxiety and taking pills and just covering things up. So hopefully that was of use. Let me know if you have any questions. I have a chance for some Q&A about anything about holiday stress. Those of you who just joined, not in Germany, but in April, we're going to be in the UK, Yvonne. So we're definitely coming back in April. Nicola, I'd love to see you there, hun. So do you have any questions? This is a chance for rapid fire. Ask me anything. Holiday stress, anger, emotions, resentment, health issues. I'm on a mission to help people to be at cause for the transformation in their career and in their relationships. And it's only by me taking on this work and getting as authentic as possible with it and calling myself out that I'm able to have the freedom and the power and the drive to be able to help liberate other people too. Liberate them from medication, liberate them from disconnected relationships, liberate them from excessive amount of stress in the holiday season because of their thoughts and perceptions and unrealistic expectations. So I really look forward to making 2018, helping you make 2018 be the greatest year. So send me a private message if what I said resonated with you. If what I said triggered you, good. I'm glad. Because what that is your higher self telling you, you're doing great, Megan. You're doing amazing. It's your higher self telling you that you got to actually move and take action. So I invite you to send me a private message and ask me any questions. I would love to serve. And I look forward to seeing you guys in 2018. Have a great... I keep hearing goals keep you in delusion. Can you explain that, please? Okay. Good question, Tushar. Goals keep you in delusion. Well, consider the possibility that the goals that you've set, Tushar, the goals that you set, if they're in alignment with your values, you're going to walk your talk and you're going to move towards them. And if you have evidence that your goals are manifesting, in other words, you can track the results. It's like me saying, I want to have a six-pack, but there's no movement of my life in the direction of that, then it's just a fantasy or a delusion. So in other words, a goal is really a goal when you have direct evidence. So think about the goals that you had for 2017, if you even made them at all. And if you have evidence in your life that you're actually moving towards them, it's an actual goal. But if you make set a goal, like, oh, I just want six-pack abs, or I want to make $1 million, or I want to leave my career, and there's no evidence of you investing in it, moving in that direction, investing time, effort, resources, all of those things, an investment of time, effort, resources towards the direction of those goals, they are delusions. They're fantasies. They're not actually your goals. So it's wise for you, and I'm glad you asked that question, for you to set goals that are truly in alignment with your values, that you see that make time stand still for you, that you do just automatically. Like doing this Facebook Live and leaving chiropractic to teach about stress wasn't just a fantasy, because I've been committed to it for the past 10 years. But if I said, oh, I have a goal of 2017 to, some of them, I said, oh, I want to weigh under 170 pounds and have a six-pack. Well, I'm moving slowly in that direction, but not fast enough. So it's not as high of a priority. So if I'm beating myself up, that means I'm living in a delusion. Hopefully, Tushar, that explains it. Let me know if that explains it to you. Please, if you know somebody that really ought to be listening to this, tag them and share this post with those people, because it's my job to educate people on helping them remove what's blocking them from getting to their higher selves. Usually it's they're not connected to a vision statement. They're holding on to past stories and traumas. They have broken down relationships in their life. They haven't learned how to love their dark passenger yet, because you have a dark warrior, dark passenger in you, and it serves. And the more that you love and integrate it, the more integrated, whole, and complete you feel, the more you have your power, the less you hide, the more you're able to speak your truth, authentic truth. And when you do that, all of a sudden, your ability to bend reality transforms. Send me a private message if you actually want to learn how to transform your mindset so that you can bend reality and create an incredible life. I mean, I don't mean to brag, but if you told me 1 year ago that I would be moving into this place and it's got a view like this, I would have been like, holy cow. So this is the skyline of my building, and we just moved a couple of months ago, and I put that into my vision board. I put it into everything that, all of my thoughts, and I did the work on it, and you can bend reality and create an incredible life in 2018. I had set out last year at this time to make 2017 my best year ever. And I can confirm that it has been. As far as contribution, as far as experience, as far as relationships, as far as abundance, all of it. And I want to hear from you if you actually want to make 2018 that way and see what's in the way of that. So hopefully this was of value to you, and you got a lot out of this. Please let me know. Ask me any questions. Continue the conversation in the thread. What was your main takeaway? If you could add that to the thread, what was your main takeaway? And I look forward to crossing paths with you once again. God bless.